You're listening to Bigfoot Society, and I'm Jeremiah Byron. Tonight's story isn't from a hiker or a researcher. It's from a man who moved to the woods of Pennsylvania for peace and ended up locking eyes with something massive, something covered in hair, and something walking through his yard with something over its shoulder. This is a first-hand account of a Sasquatch sighting so vivid, so close that Dee can still see the glow of its eyes and the smaller eyes staring back at him from over the adult's shoulder. But it wasn't just one encounter. There were howls in the night, eye shine at the edge of the property, and a moment when he realized whatever's out there knows exactly where he lives. This isn't a legend. It's a father standing at the edge of the woods, watching something step back into the trees. And this is the story of Dee and the night Bigfoot came to the Poconos. So stay with us. All right, Bigfoot Society, I've got the privilege of talking to Dee today. Dee's an individual that he's a listener of the show, but also reached out to me about some interesting things that he has experienced over the years. He's also from Pennsylvania. So welcome to the show tonight. Dee, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, Jeremiah. Thank you. Good to be here.
Dee, I want to make sure that you have the time to share what you've experienced. I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to you, and feel free to take us back when this first started happening for you.
Sure thing. I'm from New York, from Brooklyn, New York originally, and I was a transplant up here since 2001 after 9/11 happened. I was actually one of the workers in the World Trade Center. And I happened to take off that day, luckily. And I was having a house built out here in Pennsylvania. And so we moved out to Pennsylvania in 2001. It was myself and my now ex-wife, or wife at the time. And we moved to a brand new house in the Poconos. And this was probably around 2000. That was about this. The first encounter was about 2002, I'd say, around there. It was my mother and my mother-in-law were outside. And they smoked. They go outside to smoke. We had a little kid at the time. And they're outside smoking, think nothing of it. And then probably 15, 20 minutes later, both of them come in pale face white. And we're like, what's the matter? What's the matter? And they told us that they saw something large and hairy in the woods, and they were all freaked out about it, my mother and my mother-in-law. And I'm like, well, what did it look like? It looked like a big gorilla. And I was like, a big gorilla? I says, I thought at the time, I haven't seen or known anybody who saw anything like this, so I kind of passed it off as maybe they saw a bear, and I let it go at that, But they were pretty adamant about what they saw, but we let it go. Going into my encounter was the first encounter I had with a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch, if you will, is after I gotten divorced, I had moved to another property in the Poconos, which is probably about 8 miles away. And I had a motorcycle. I was, back to the bachelor life, living alone. And I had about 2.5 acres of property, and it was all backed up by woods. And at the time, I had no fencing, no nothing. So just a house, and I had a little shed for my motorcycle. So I'm out riding my bike during the night, and I get home. It's probably 1 o'clock. It's pretty dark, almost pitch black. All I have is the headlight of the motorcycle. So I drive up at the time it was a gravel driveway. It wasn't even paved. And I drive up my gravel driveway, and I'm looking, and I see two sets of eyes. And they were amber eyes. They were amber. And one was really tall, and one was short. And I'm looking at them, and I could just see the outline of them for the most part. And it looked like two huge men, or you could see hair, because I could see the hair off the top of the head. But I couldn't really see too much details as far as their face goes and whatnot. And I'm like, what is that? So I get off the motorcycle, and I bring the motorcycle to the shed, park the motorcycle, I come back out, and I'm looking again, and now all I see is one set of eyes. And it's not quite as tall as the first set of eyes I saw, the tall one. And I'm looking at it. This is probably about, I'd say maybe, I had no fence up at the time, probably about 250 feet away from me. And I'm just staring at it. I didn't feel any kind of fear, really, just more amazement, what is that? Or any kind of anger from anything. And I'm looking at it, and the eyes are looking at me, and they're going away from me. And I'm like, what animal is walking backwards in the woods, or walking back? And it continues to keep walking away from me. And now it's to the point where it's almost out of sight, maybe 300-400 feet away from me. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what could that have been? And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, I think that the little one, that maybe that the parent had picked up the big one and put it over its shoulder and started walking away from me, and the little one was still facing me, and that's why I was seeing an animal looking at me as it was going away without, who walks backwards in the woods? It makes no sense. You fall over something. And that was my encounter with the Bigfoot that I had. My first encounter I had over here at my property in the Poconos. Another encounter was later on. I had put a fence up, and I got remarried. Now I have 4 kids, and I got 5 pit bulls. All fenced in yard. My yard's about 200 by 200 where I live now. And keep in mind, Jeremiah, where I live, I have a creek that runs through my property that is about 100 feet by 250 feet or 300 feet, 300 feet. And I have plenty of deer up here all the time because it always comes like a water hole. And I have plenty of deer and raccoons. And we have my pit bulls. They have killed like raccoons and possum. Actually, they even killed a bobcat once that was going after my chicken coop. So I got a chicken coop with ducks. I got about like 30 of them. But they're all fenced in, but they're fenced in within my yard. So you have to come into my yard to get close to them. And then you got to deal with 5 pit bulls on top of that. So one night I hear the dogs going crazy at the back fence, and I come outside. I'm looking. And I see it looked like, again, amber eyes, but they were like flickering. And I take the flashlight out. I'm trying to get the flashlight on it. I get the flashlight on it. I see them flickering, and then the eyes shut off, like they closed their eyes. But I didn't keep looking moving the flashlight around. I kept the flashlight fixed at where it was last, where I saw it. And then the eyes opened back up again, and these eyes were still flickering, these 2 amber eyes. And then it darted off to the right, and it left. And my dogs were trying to follow it, but of course they're behind the fence, so they can't do nothing about it. And that was another encounter. I don't know what that one was. I could go back to my first house where I was with the ex-wife. Is where something was like, I would classify as like something as like a reptilian, Jeremiah. We were with the kids, and we had gone to Sight and Sound. I don't know if you're familiar with that in Allentown.
Absolutely, yeah.
In Lancaster, rather. Yeah, they do like shows about Noah and godly shows. It's probably about two and a half hours away from my house.
Yeah. So
we see the show. We get done with the show. It's late. We get home. We're coming home now. It's probably about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And where my old house was, it was like a development, but no gates and nothing like that. So we're driving home. We're pretty tired, 2:30. It's very foggy, very misty out. And we're driving. And all of a sudden, I see something walking from my left to my right. So I stopped my Jeep. I'm probably doing 3-5 miles an hour. It's really, the dirt road. And this thing stops right in front of the hood of my car. And it turns to the right. And it's looking right at us. And now me and the wife, the kids in the backseat sleeping, thank God. And we're frozen still, Jeremiah. We can't move. We're in shock of what we're looking at. And we just stand there. Then it turns its head back to the direction it was going, back to its left. And then it starts walking towards the right of my car, away from the car. So we're both sitting there. She's like, drive. So I drive the car to my house, which is no more than 300 feet from where we were. We drive to my house. She goes, get the kids. I said, forget about the kids. Let's just go home. Let's go back to Brooklyn and forget about Pennsylvania. I says, I don't want to be here no more. There are things like that in the woods. She's like, no, let's just get in the car. Let's get in the house. Get in the house. So she grabs one boy. I grabbed the other boy. We ran in the house. We locked the door. And we wouldn't even look outside the window, Jeremiah. That's how frightened we were. This thing that we saw had to be about 6.5, just closer to 7 feet tall. Really, really lean, really thin, all gray, no hair anywhere, with like a large skeletal type head and large black oval eyes and a slit in the mouth. I couldn't even see his hands, Jeremiah, because he was so close to the car that his hands were hanging down below the hood line. And I hate to say it, but we were so afraid to even stare at it as it walked away. We didn't want to draw its attention, so we just kept looking straight ahead. I know I was, as it walked away. So I could see through my peripheral walking away, and I saw it open, put its hands out, and it moved the brush out of the way, and then stepped into the woods. And ever since that point, we used to do hiking and camping. We never gone back out into the woods overnight after seeing something like that. Who knows what could be out there? And that's what happened in my old house. Getting back to the house where I am now, where I have the fenced-in yard, I have the I have the brook running through my property, 100 by 200. And there's also, I don't know if it matters that, but some people say it does. There's a graveyard that's maybe like 300 yards from my house. So this is a little crazy story. This is pretty scary. This really hit home for me and the family. We're in the house. We're two-story house, rather, one family, 2 stories. And the wife, myself, my one daughter, and my son are in the living room. And my other daughter, I thought she was upstairs. So it's probably about 1:30 at night. It's kind of late. It was I think it was a Friday. And the kids are up and watching TV or whatnot. And hey, my daughter's jumping upstairs, jumping. I go, Gianna, Gianna, stop jumping. She goes, Dad, I'm right here. And she's in the living room, which is right off my dining room. So I'm looking at her. She's looking at me. My wife is looking at me like, what is that? Everybody's accounted for. And we hear it again. So I'm like, I go, Gianna, stay in the living room. Go in the living room with your mother. I run up the stairs, and then my dogs are going ballistic, the 5 pit bulls. They're barking. I could see them through my window as I go upstairs. They're barking up towards the 2nd floor. I go up to the 2nd floor. Nothing's there. I come back down. I look at the dogs. Now they're barking towards the front of the house, Jeremiah. And I'm like, what is this? So I don't know what it could be. So it sounded like a person, like people jumping up there. I go to my front window. I look out my front window, and there are 2 sets of like LED light eyes. There's 2 sets of them. There's 4 eyes looking right at me. This is no more than maybe 100 feet away from my house. And I'm looking, and now I can see them, the shape of these things. They look like 2 tall men with like a wolf head, like a German Shepherd head, but with both of them had distinctly red, like looked like they were lit up from inside, like LED lit, so bright the eyes were, the red eyes. And we're I'm in shock. I'm saying that I said to myself, to my wife, I scream, I go, babe, get the flashlight. And then when I'm saying to her, get the flashlight, my mind is blown because I'm saying, why can I see their eyes? And I have no flashlight. There's no reflection. So how can I see them? And she's going to get the flashlight. I'm looking at them. They're looking right at me, Jeremiah. And I could sense, one of them said, I don't know if this is my imagination or not, but one of them said to me, as clear as day, like, look away. And now I'm like angry now at this point because this is my house. I got kids here, I got firearms stuff, so I'm not too worried. And it's saying to me, look away in my mind. And I say back to it in my mind, no, you look away. Like I was like pissed, like I was dealing with a person. And as soon as I said that, the one on the right-hand side went down to all 4s, and I could see his muzzle as he turned profile. And I'm like, babe, get the light. So she comes down with the light, and the dog is still going nuts. She comes down with the light. I put the light out there, and I could just barely see, like, it looked like 2 big wolves running away, or 2 big dogs running away. And I'm like, these things are freaking real. Like, I couldn't believe it that these things were actually real, And ever since that time, man, I never let my kids go out at night. When the sun comes down, we're in the house. We don't do camping anymore, nothing like that. I'm outside right now in my car because my kids are inside and they're kind of loud. And my house is right next to the door, to be honest with you. But we do not, like, go outside after dark because I don't know what these things are. I mean, it looked to me like what these people call like a dog man or a werewolf, But I in my mind, I couldn't believe that these things were real. So just recently, Jeremiah, we have chickens, like I told you, and we wanted to replenish our coop a little bit. So we wanted to pick like another dozen chickens. So I call a local breeder, and I go over to her house, really nice lady, and she has a big white, like those, what are those dogs called? Those white herding dogs, like Newfoundlands, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. She has one of those big white dogs. I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful dog, She goes, yeah. She goes, I have it for the bears. I said, yeah. I said, there are a lot of bears up here, Actually, because my dogs, my pit bulls, they faced off a big black bear, and it was on the other side of the fence, thank God. And they were just ripping at the fence trying to get to it until I came out, and then the bear saw me and the bear ran away. But the bears up here, Jeremiah, they get really big. They had one up here a few years ago, 895 pounds. They killed him, black bear.
Oh my goodness.
895, huge. I've seen bears run across the street, like close to my house too, massive. Actually, I had one that was ripping my garbage apart. I came home with my truck to get him away from the property. I hit him with the truck, right? He went flying. He got up, walked away like nothing happened to him, and I dented the whole bumper of a Ram 2500. That's how big these bears are up here. Massive. Yeah. So getting back to the lady, so I said, yeah, she was talking about how she has Newfoundland for because there are bears there. I said, yeah. I said, there's a lot worse things in these woods than bears. And this is an older lady, probably 70 around there. And she says to me, yeah, she was like, what? I said, I don't want to say anything. I said, you'll think I'm nuts. She goes, no, please tell me, what'd you see? I says, ma'am, I think werewolves might be real. She goes, yeah, I know. I've seen them. I said, you have? She goes, yeah. She goes, I seen them. You turn around for a second and they're gone. And she's about maybe 10 miles from me, this lady. So there's been a lot of creepy things up here. Another incident I had with my younger daughter, she's 6. She goes outside. And thank God we have all these dogs here to protect them. And she comes in all freaked out. She says, Dad, there's a bald white man by the swing. I says, by the swing. The swing's in the yard. You got 5 pit bulls out there. They rip them apart. I says, where? She was outside. I run outside. The dogs were out there. The dogs weren't barking or nothing. And I looked to where it was, and the swing where she was talking about is swinging back and forth. And I go, Dad, well, what do you mean a bald white man? She goes, yeah, he was bald. He had no hair on his arms. He had no shirt on. And he had a whitish gray head. He was peeking out behind the swings. And then I ran inside because I got scared. So I don't know what that was either. But the dogs didn't even detect it. So that was kind of weird. But there's a lot of stuff going on up here, Jeremiah. Let me tell you, Pennsylvania is free. I even spoke to 2 cops about this, Jeremiah, about the werewolf things or the dog things I seen, and he wasn't even like shocked about it. He says, if I saw that, I would unload my whole gun into him. I says, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, we've had some crazy stories, crazy call-ins about things people have seen up here. He says, and I says, really? I says, so. You weren't like he wasn't even surprised about it when I told him, this guy, he says, and it just takes me back. It's like there's a lot of stuff going on up here in Pennsylvania. I'll tell you, there's a lot of woods up here, a lot of dense woods, and it's like the ocean. You don't know what could be out there, and I personally, like I said, I don't let my kids out. I got the dogs out here, but they're pit bulls, don't get me wrong, but these things are on another level than dogs,
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be honest, the bald white man by the swing thing really freaks me out. Is that your current house too?
Yeah, that's where we live right now.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, how recent did that happen?
The dog man thing was in 23.
Okay.
And the thing with the white creature, white man, she said she saw by the swings was probably about a little over a year ago, I'd say.
I would not let my kids be outside playing.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, my yard's all fenced in, and I got they're always with their 5. The dogs follow them everywhere, and they're really good watchdogs. They're 5 pit bulls, so I'm not really worried while it's daytime, and I'm always outside with them too. My wife is there, But as soon as the sun goes down, I said, because the swing set's closer to the fence, I'm like, girls, come on, let's go, let's go inside. I'm not taking any chances, I don't think, the dogs could get there fast enough to protect them if something guffet would happen, But, yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, it's like, I got a giant brook going through my property. So there's always like deer and bear and there's bobcats and it's like a watering hole, So it's a perfect place for anything that wants to hunt or wants to get water or travel. It's a great place, I don't know if you're familiar with Delaware Water Gap,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is some weird stuff in that area. I mean, I usually focus on just on Bigfoot, and that area has some crazy Bigfoot stuff in it. But so your child that saw whatever that was by the swing.
Yeah, Danica, yeah.
I would be really curious. Have you ever, well, it's a thing where I don't know. It would be interesting, like if she ever tried to draw a picture of it, or if I don't know. If it's a really young child, you don't want to push it. You just want them to go
6.
Past it, right? Yeah, just let them get past it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's 6, what I'm saying? She was like still all awake when the dog man thing happened, so they know that there's stuff out there,
Oh yeah.
And they were with me. They were with me when I was talking to the lady when I was purchasing the little chickens, and they heard her say it that she's seen them. So it wasn't like it was like, you know, daddy saying it anymore. Now somebody else is saying it. Yeah. So it kind of resonated with them, you know. And when she saw the thing she did by the swing, it sounds like that crawler type thing that people talk about, that is skinless human. You know what I'm saying?
I was just going to bring that up. I was like, I hope it's not this, but to tell you the truth, it sounds like the way you're describing it. It sounds like it, you know, which is not cool.
Yeah.
Not cool.
No. Yeah, definitely not. You know, these things are really creepy, and plus it was the fact that he was in the yard, and the dogs really didn't even like do anything. They didn't do anything. They didn't detect them, so to speak. You know, maybe he was like really quiet, or he jumped over the fence. You know, or he came off one of the trees. I don't know, but usually the dogs, like, they're pretty alert to stuff like that. Like the things on the roof, they were going nuts on some of those things. Then they would bark to the front of the house for that thing. I mean, when the bear was here, when the other thing with the flickering tan eyes, they were going nuts at that thing too. The one that, you know, I caught on the flashlight. But this thing they didn't detect at all, which is kind of like a little freaky, you know. I also have
go ahead.
full surveillance all over my property now. I have cameras everywhere.
Absolutely.
So yeah, they say that's like the best protection. If you want to, you know, you want to avoid these things, get some cameras up, because they don't like, I guess, like the infrared or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So
but I sent you a picture.
Yeah, with the at least with the Bigfoot community, anyways, they say, you know, put up game cams or anything with IR, infrared, and allegedly it doesn't like it, or it can see it and it'll just, you won't have issues, right? Which is really, really interesting. The sightings you had of the kind of like dogmen creatures is very strange. Mm-hmm. What you saw were, so I'm trying to think. They actually, like, the heads were actually moving? Like, could you see eyes moving and mouths and things like that?
Yeah. When they would face me, it looked like I said, it looked like two big German shepherds standing up. I could see the ears slightly, you know, because it was dark, but it wasn't like totally blacked out. So I could see like the ears on both of their heads. One was a little taller than the other one. The one on the left was a little bigger. The one on the right was a little smaller. The one on the right was the one that went down when I said to it, "You look away." And I was like, anger. I was pretty angry about it. And that's my sort of profile of his mouth. When they were looking forward, they looked like two dogs looking straight at you. The mouths were closed. They were like, I wouldn't say like massively built. They looked like an average size, like, man, so to speak. You know, not huge, but I could see like their arms were hanging down and their boat was standing up. This is like, I look at my front window. There's my driveway, and then there's this tree and a rock, and that's exactly where they were, by the tree and the rock. Which is no one. I'm being generous when I say 80 feet. It's probably even closer. You know, and it was just amazing, Jeremiah, to see those red eyes looking at you, and you're like, I have no flashlight. Why are these eyes lit up like this? This is not a reflection. This is internally lit. And I couldn't believe it. My wife couldn't believe it too. She's like, oh my. And then when I came back with the flashlight, I saw them get down, and I saw them take off, and that was about it. And even to this day, it's like, it's every time I want to go out to my shed or my garage, out of my gate where my dogs are. Right now, I'm right outside the gate, which may be 10 feet away from me. And it's like, but there's a lot of light going on right now. I got the car running, and, you know, it's okay. But I wouldn't go out to my garage or my shed at night alone. I mean, we've heard howls out here. My wife is like, babe, you hear it? And I go outside, and the dogs are going ballistic, and you hear like this deep howl. It's hard to describe. It sounds like it's from deep within something when the way it howls, almost like an aching, like a pain howl. It's a weird howl. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, not like a high pitch like a coyote, but deeper than that, more guttural.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear any other strange noises around your property at night, or?
Not that I heard a strange noise, just that when the last winter, the dogs were going nuts, and then I went outside the next morning, and that's when I saw those tracks across my front lawn that I sent you, and those tracks go right to a fence, which is about 4.5 feet tall, and then continue after the fence. So whatever it is stepped over the fence and then then it goes across the street there, and then it goes down a ditch into like water, like where a creek is. So I don't know what that was, but as far as sounds go, yeah, I've heard like these looks like it sounds like a howl, like almost like a wolf howl and a coyote, but a lot deeper. And then sometimes we hear like these loud, high pitched screams we've heard before. The dogs start going crazy, and like they go to the back fence. They're coming from across the water, across the brook that we have running through the creek, running through the property.
Mm.
It's like something. I'd say at least once a week you're gonna hear something crazy up here at nighttime. It's so quiet. Yeah, it's so quiet and desolate that when you hear when something's to be heard, you're gonna hear it. And the good thing is, I mean, thank God I got these dogs. They hear something, they run right to wherever it is, And that's the only reason why I'd stay here, to be honest with you, because you could have a gun all you want, but you can't walk around with a gun 24/7. You know what I'm saying? You can't you can't play around with your kids when you have a firearm in your pocket. So I'm grateful that I do have these dogs. But again, they're just dogs, and these things that I've seen, I wouldn't think even 5 pit bulls wouldn't stand a chance against something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. When you had what you're calling the reptilian crossing in front of you guys, have you ever seen anything else that looks close to what you saw that night? Like anything, like photos on the internet or anything?
I did. I saw one gentleman. I don't know if I'll send you the photo of it. Okay. He had like a video on a pier of this thing. It looked exactly like the one that I had seen, and it was like turning. It was an actual video, and it was actually turning its head left and right. And if I could find the video or the photos, I'll send it to you. No one remind you? I don't know how old you are, Jeremiah. I'm in my 50s, so I grew up like watching like Land of the Lost TV show. You ever hear that TV show years ago? I'm
aware of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. If you want to check it's like the 1970s Land of the Lost, not the newer version, the older version. And you'll see they have these creatures in there called like Sasquatch.
Yep.
It looks like a reptilian, you like mixed with a human almost. Tall, very thin. But the Sasquatch in the TV show had almost like a brow ridge over the center of their head. This thing didn't have that. It just the head was built like almost like a diamond. Like the top was wider, then it came down to a narrow chin, with these big. I mean, the eyes had to be 3 inches, black, oval eyes, no eyelashes, no facial hair, no hair anywhere. I couldn't see if there was any genitalia because that would be below the hood of the Jeep. Long, skinny arms, no signs of like muscularity at all. Average size shoulder width. It looked like a skinny tall basketball player with a weird head, if you will, and a skinny neck. The neck was thin. It almost looked like your arm would be. Maybe like 12 inches, 14 inches, like a thin neck. And then it turned its head to the right, my right, so its left, and continued walking, and then opened the brush and stepped into this area. This is like 300 feet from my house. This is why I wanted to leave. I'm like, forget about the house. The house is brand new. We just had it built. I said, let's just leave. Let's just go back to Brooklyn. Forget about. And she says, no. Let's go back. Let's go back to the house. I was like, all right, whatever. But that's what started the whole thing. From that point on, I'm like, I'm not camping no more. I'm not going, walking in the woods at night after dark. Because you don't know what could be out there. I mean, I cannot even believe that something like this is even possible to exist. To be honest with you.
So your mother and mother-in-law were really the only ones that had actual visual sightings of what we are thinking is a Bigfoot.
Yeah, and the one that I told you when I first moved to this house, there was no fence up. When I saw the big one and the small one, this thing was huge. I mean, well over 7 foot, and the little one was probably maybe 3 feet tall. It's 4 feet tall, really small. And I couldn't believe it when I put the motorcycle back. I came back and I'm looking at it. I'm like, where's he going? And I see the eyes just keep getting further and further and further away from me, like locked on me, but going away from me. And like I said, the only thing I could put together, I spoke to an officer about this, and he was saying it sounds like a mother carrying a baby or a parent carrying a child, where the child's looking over the mother's shoulder as it's walking away. And these things were. I mean, the big one was huge. He was massive, wide. I could see the hair off his head, hair off the sides of his shoulders. he had to be well over 3 feet wide, much bigger than any adult that I've seen. And but it wasn't like it just seemed like we just bumped into each other, and there was no aggression or no interaction between it or I. It was just walking, then just started walking away, and I could see the smaller eyes facing me. And that's the only thing I could think of. Like, how could you be looking at somebody walking backwards in the woods for 400 or 500 feet at that point in time?
Right. And you had said that you saw hair on top of the head as well, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember any specifics about I guess the hair that you had seen?
Yeah, I'd say they look like probably 4 to 5 inches of hair, like almost like when the light is coming through the back, like if there's a light behind you, and you can see like the shadow of the body, and then you can see like the separation of the hairs as the light goes in between the hairs, kind of thing. And it was probably like about 4 to 5 inches of the hairs I could see sticking up around the head and on the outside skirts of the shoulders. But he was massive. I mean, he was really big. But and those eyes, though, the amber eyes, were similar to the ones that I seen when I caught them on the flashlight. And that was the one that closed his eyes. And he closed his eyes, and I had the flashlight on him. I didn't move the flashlight, Jeremiah. I kept the flashlight on. I'm waiting. I'm like, he's probably closing his eyes thinking I'm going to move the flashlight again. And then maybe like 10, 15 seconds, he opened his eyes up again. They were right there. They were like, but they looked like they were flickering. They were like amber color, not red. They were like almost like a light, like an amber light, a stop light. And they were like flickering back and forth. Then I saw it take off to the left. Oof, it was gone. And I couldn't catch it with the flashlight anymore. And it was probably maybe 200 feet right outside my fence. The dogs were at the feet of it, barking like crazy. But it didn't show no aggression. I think that it was just, like where I live now, there was no fences up when I got here. So actually, when we first put the fence up, we had a few deer like run right through the fence. They ripped the whole fence, because they wasn't here. So I guess there was a lot of traffic coming through here to get to the creek, And that's what I'm thinking. That's maybe that's what happened with these things. They were probably coming back to an old water hole, not realizing that now there's a fence up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have no idea what you set up shop in the middle of, really. That's a great point.
Exactly.
You have really experienced a lot of interesting things the last few years. Did all this start post 9/11 then?
Yeah. I had a house being built in 99, and then we moved here in 2001. Like I said, I was supposed to be working on the 43rd floor of the World Trade Center South Tower on that Tuesday. And I was living in Brooklyn because my house was being built in Pennsylvania. And the ex-wife and I, of course, got into an argument. I had a brand new truck at the time, Jeremiah. And I don't know if you know Brooklyn a lot or not, but there's all the trains run above the ground.
Right.
So you have to park underneath the train station. So when I get there, I had a brand new Dodge Dakota black truck, and I didn't want to park my truck under the train because all the pigeons poop all over it. That's crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, because I couldn't find a good spot. I said, I'm not going to park over here. I said, I'm going home. I was so aggravated with fighting with her. I drove back home, and then lo and behold, the buildings came down, and we got the kids in the van, and we were driving over Verrazano Bridge, looking at Manhattan. I'm not familiar with the area, and the whole place was in smoke. It looked like a Godzilla movie at the time.
Yeah.
And it was wild. It was wild. And then we moved out to Pennsylvania in 2001, and then we had gotten divorced later on, and then I bought this place in 2010, 2012, around there, after the divorce. But when I first came here, I had no fence up. I had no dogs. It was just me. I had a Chihuahua that was living upstairs in my room, a little Chihuahua, and I had a little tiny shed for my motorcycle. And that's when I saw the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, and the smaller one. But then later on, we put the fences up. We got the dogs. I got remarried. 4 more kids later. And that's when the other thing happened, with the dog man on the roof and the footprints in the front yard. And then that white creature my daughter saw, which freaked her out. But I mean, they're all up. They're all keen to everything. The kids, the 2 girls are a little older. They're 10 and 6. My son is he's 5, And but the girls pretty much look after him, and they're pretty pretty astute kids when it comes to things like that. They know when the sun goes down, they're coming in. And I always tell them, whenever you need it, you need the swings. We have 2 tree houses on the property. That's why we're on, the tree house. They always call the dogs to you, and the dogs hang out with them. It gives you a little piece of tranquility knowing that dogs are with them than being alone out there.
Right. Do you have any neighbors close by to where you live currently?
Like I said, if you go to my left, that's pretty much you go across the creek, and then you have the graveyard. So there's no one there. And then on that side, on the other side, there is one neighbor, but he's hardly ever there. He has a house, but no one. I don't think no one even lives there, to be honest. He doesn't live here. I know that. So that's about it. And then across the street, it's just you go across the street, and then you're into a bird sanctuary, and then you have just endless amount of acres of land. There's nothing there. And same thing goes for the back of the property. If there wasn't a fence there, it would just go on forever, all just woods, deep woods.
Okay.
So it's nice. It's a nice spot, but you just I didn't even realize how many things could be out in the woods. To say the truth, I'm from New York, so it's like these things are fake to me. I never, people I heard stories. They say like, yeah, maybe not, maybe a Bigfoot, a dog man, a werewolf. Come on, that's ridiculous. Until you see these things with your own eyes, at one point in time, I thought to myself, I said, wow, when I saw the first Bigfoot and the juvenile, I'm like, well, they were pretty passive. They weren't aggressive. It's like, it would be nice to go out looking for these things and maybe get a photo of them, After Jeremiah, I seen these 2 dogmen on my roof jumping around, because the back of my house is 2-story, but the back of my house, there's like a mountain that comes up to it. So it's pretty easy access to get on. And in the front, they must have just jumped off the front. I don't know how they did it, but it's probably about, 20 feet or so. And they jumped off the front. But after seeing these things, that would be my fear about going out looking, squatching, whatever they call it, looking for take a photo of a Bigfoot, is running into one of these things by accident.
And why would you even? I mean, you don't really have to go out, because literally it's coming to your house.
They're coming to me.
To your house. You don't even have to go out. You also said during, I believe it was the Dogman account, where there was an instance of you heard them talking to you in your mind, correct?
Yeah, man, 100%. I would swear to it on a stack of Bibles. It was telling me, like, look away, like trying to intimidate me. But I was so pissed off that you're on my roof now. It's like a personal thing to me, And I'm like, you're on my roof, you're on my property now. And I'm like, no, you look away. Like I was talking to a person, That's how I felt in my mind. And as soon as I said that, the one facing me on the right-hand side, the smaller one, went down to all fours, and I could see, as he turned his head to the left, I could see his muzzle, sticking out. I didn't see no teeth, but I saw a closed muzzle, and I saw 2 big ears. It looked like a big black German Shepherd standing up, 2 of them, but like with man shoulders. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. I still to this day cannot believe that these things are actually real. And I wish that they weren't. Tell you the truth, I wish I never saw it. Sometimes, like, how's that saying go, Jeremiah? Ignorance is bliss, or something like that, right?
That one works. Yeah, that one works for this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced any other communication like that since then, where you hear something like that, what you heard in your head that day?
Yeah. Nope. I can't say I have. I can't say I have. But it was. I noticed it was definitely communicating with me, and I know I communicated back with it, because as soon as I said to it for it to look away, it turned its head to the left and went down. And then she came back with the flashlight. I came with the flashlight, and that's when I caught them both. Like, I saw the tail end of them running away, running to my right, back towards like the creek. My wife couldn't believe it. I'm like, I can't believe these freaking things are real. Like, again, I say, Jeremiah, a Bigfoot I could deal with, but this is stuff of legend. Werewolves. I mean, where are we? It's like a movie, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's all crazy, though. I mean,
it's absolutely nuts.
Just because, like, I mean, I've never had a visual of anything, and I'm just blown away. Like, I'm not. You're dealing with all this very well. And although you've had time to process it, and this just didn't happen today for you, but it's a lot to live through. And I would even imagine that there might be stuff in the future, although you have the security system up now with IR. So hopefully things might calm down a bit, I would think.
Yeah. It's, like you say you're dealing with it well. And I guess for the most part, I do. But again, I do not go outside at night. We go shopping. We get home before it's dark out. There's not a day that goes by that doesn't cross your mind, Jeremiah. Not a day. I could swear to you, not a day. Because you're surrounded by the woods up here. So it's your house and woods. That's all it is, And I got lights now down in my front yard. When you come into the driveway, my driveway is about 150 feet of blacktop. It comes up the hill, and I have lights over there. I have a light sensor on the house in the front, so it's every step of the way getting to the house lights up now. I got a Christmas tree in front of my property, all lit up all year round, mind you.
Okay.
I have strip lights outside to my doorway, and a light sensor from when the car comes near it, it goes on. But there's not a day that goes by that it does not cross your mind. Well, my son, he's a little old. He's like 22, and he comes over at nighttime sometimes. And I go, "Don't." I says, "Just make sure you be careful when you come, because sometimes his friends drop him off at the end of the driveway." I don't let them. I says, "Let them bring you all up the driveway."
Oh wow!
Because there's so much. If someone wants to grab you and disappear, this is the place to do it. Because in any direction they want to run, there's woods. Man. But that's why I keep my kids inside. If it's dark, they're inside.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Have you ever looked online in, let's say, there's different sites you can look up to see Bigfoot sightings? Have you ever looked to see if your area has other people seeing things that are documented online anywhere?
I've heard of a few other encounters in my area. On other shows I've heard. I haven't researched it online as far as documented stuff. But I heard quite a few things up in the area, and it's a perfect location because there's, like I said, there's so much dense woods. There's deer everywhere, and I tell you, after that dog man thing, that whatever it was that I seen, I didn't see deer for probably close to a week after that. And we see deer every day. We didn't see deer for a week outside after these things came through. So There must be a scent that they're throwing off that other animals pick up on, and they just stay away.
Do you ever have weird things left around your property, objects that are that's not mine, or pieces of deer or anything like that?
Honestly, as far as I would say, I have to say no.
Okay, gotcha.
I'd have to say no. I'm just looking around. The light sensors just went off now.
Okay. Wow.
Everybody have an encounter during an interview? That'd be a first,
It's
right?
been close.
It's creepy, man. Because like I said, we have sensors. We also have light sensors. So there's nothing out here. Boom, the lights go off. You look outside, nothing's there. You're like, what's setting these lights off like this? I don't know.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
But yeah, it's. I tell you, man, it changes your life forever. But I honestly can say, when that thing happened with that reptilian thing back in 2011, that changed my life forever. But that didn't. This was so close to me. Like I said to you, that thing was like the hood of my car. It was 5 feet, 6 feet away. That just blew my mind to see something like this. It's like, this is beyond anybody's comprehension. You have to see it to believe it. But when these things are on my roof, that's totally different. You know what I'm saying? That's personal. You're almost in my house. You're a window away from me and my kids. So when I saw that this happened, I saw them right outside my door, pretty much 80 feet away, looking right at me. And how they know I was gonna come to that window? It was like the weirdest thing. Why if you're a creature, you want to run away. Dogs are barking at you. These things, they didn't look like they were scared. They just were looking right at me. And it changes you forever, man. It's like the world's a different place when you see something like that.
100%. It really changes your priorities around a lot, and you're definitely not hanging out outside after dark. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh no. So. Absolutely. Sun comes down. We're all in. We're all in. And then, like I told you, the last time was this past winter when the dogs were going crazy again. I came outside, and then I saw those tracks going across my front yard over my septic mound. And I sent them to a few of the people that are into this type of field, and they're baffled. They're like, I don't know what it is. They're like, it looks like a big almost like a big dog track. Some people say it looks more reptilian track. I don't know what it is, but I we spoke to a few hunters about it, and they couldn't even make any sense out of it. And those tracks are 4 foot each. The stride is a 4 foot stride for those tracks. And the track, if you see on the picture I sent you, I put a tape measure next to it. Those are 10-inch tracks. Each track is 10 inches. They're big, and each stride is 4-foot strides.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what this could have been, and it went right over the front fence because I got a front fence, and it went right over the front fence, and it continued on to across the street. Obviously, I didn't see it in the street, and then there's it's like a downward ditch. So I don't know what happened. I guess that's probably where it went because that's the direction it was headed. But the crazy thing is that you can't see where they started, like where they came out of the woods. Like, it was like the weirdest thing.
Okay. Oh yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, we've seen like lights in the woods plenty of times.
Really?
Like,
okay.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Like you come by my back door, and that's when you got about, you look straight ahead. You got about 200 feet to the end of the fence, and so beyond my fence, I was with my son one day, and I'm like, "What is that?" All of a sudden, it's like a big blue light, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it gets small, disappears. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it expands and then it shrinks up real quick. I don't know what that was, but we've seen plenty of lights in the woods for no reason at all, out of nowhere. I mean, this is just I can't imagine somebody out there playing with a flashlight called lights. It's kind of weird, but I don't know what these things could be.
Extremely, extremely strange, D. I would say, keep me in the loop if things do continue to happen or if you notice weird stuff. But thank you for coming on and for sharing what you have experienced over the years. It's an area we don't hear a lot about on the show, so it's always good to hear more about a place like up in Northeast Pennsylvania. But I appreciate you coming on and for sharing.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Jeremy. I really appreciate talking to you. I love your show. You got a great channel. I love your sincerity, and that's why I reached out to you, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Just wanted to take a minute to say thank you truly for listening to this episode of the Bigfoot Society podcast. Dee's story is one of those rare accounts that sticks with you, not just because of what he saw, but because of how close it all came to home. From the Sasquatch that may have been carrying its young to the chilling voice that told him to look away, it's a reminder that sometimes they come to you. So huge thanks to Dee for bravely sharing his story and giving us a glimpse into a Pennsylvania property that's anything but quiet. And if you enjoyed this episode, please hit subscribe to our channel on YouTube and click the bell so you never miss an upload, and share this one with a friend who's into Bigfoot, cryptids, or the stories that make your skin crawl. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, a quick rating and review helps others discover this conversation. And hey, if you or someone you know has had a Bigfoot encounter, especially around the Pocono Mountains or eastern Pennsylvania, shoot me an email at bigfootsociety@gmail.com, and I'd love to hear your story. Also, don't forget Sasquatch Summerfest is coming up July 11th through the 12th in Oak Ridge, Oregon. Bigfoot Society listeners can get a 2-day pass for the price of a 1-day admission with code BFS at checkout. So grab your tickets now over at www.sasquatchsummerfest.com. And thanks again for being part of the Bigfoot Society. Until next time, keep the lights on, trust your gut, and never stop asking what else might be out there. And see you in the woods.